The night my barn went up in flames, I stood barefoot in the dirt, watching everything I'd built, everything my family left behind, turn into smoke. The air was thick with heat and whispers. Neighbors huddled under flashing red lights, their faces painted orange by the fire. And through the haze there she was, Lena Hartman, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, standing with that smug little smile that told me she thought she'd finally won. "Maybe now you'll see reason," Dante, she'd said, her voice slicing through the crackle of burning wood. But what she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that she had just picked a fight with the wrong man. I wasn't just Dante Carver, the stubborn homeowner who refused to join her precious HOA. I was something else entirely. I was a fire marshal. And this wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. When I first moved into Maplewood Estates, I thought I was buying peace, 5 acres of quiet land right on the edge of suburbia. Close enough to hear the morning lawnmowers, far enough to see the stars. My barn stood like a piece of history, red paint, peeling the smell of hay and old wood, the same beams my grandfather once worked under. To me, it was freedom. To Lena Hartman, it was defiance. She wasn't your typical neighbor. No, Lena ran that HOA like a dictator in designer heels. She fined people for leaving Christmas lights up a day too long, reported teenagers for parking in front of their own homes, and sent violation letters like she was running a collection agency. The woman thrived on control, and anyone she couldn't control became an enemy. That was me. The first time she came by, she tried sugar, clipboard in hand, fake smile stretched tight. She said, "Dante, darling, you'd be such a wonderful addition to our community. Think of the benefits, access to the clubhouse, neighborhood events, voting rights." I told her I liked my independence. The smile cracked. "Suit yourself," she said, "but don't say I didn't offer." From that day, the tone changed. Letters showed up, reminders about compliance, even though I wasn't under her jurisdiction. Then came threats, bold red letters screaming, "Legal action." I laughed at first. Legal action against a man who spent 20 years reading fire codes. But the thing about people like Lena, they don't stop when you laugh. She started showing up uninvited, walking across my gravel driveway like she owned it, complaining that my barn's rustic appearance hurt property values. Once I told her she was trespassing. She smiled and said, "The community has standards." I said, "Then go enforce them somewhere else." That was the day she decided to make me her mission. Flyers appeared on my gate calling me non-compliant. Neighbors stopped waving. I'd hear whispers in the grocery store. "That's the guy who won't play by the rules." I shrugged it off, told myself I didn't care. But deep down, I did. It's one thing to be alone. It's another to be ostracized in your own town. Then came the night I saw her standing at the edge of my property. Midnight. No clipboard this time, no smile. Just her silhouette under the moonlight, arms crossed, staring at my barn. I called out, "Lose something." "Lena." She didn't answer, just stared for another second, then disappeared into the shadows. I should have known then what she was planning. A week later I woke up to that glow through the window. At first I thought it was lightning. Then came the smell. Acrid, sharp, burning wood and gasoline. I ran outside, heart hammering, and saw the barn engulfed, flames clawing at the sky beams, collapsing like ribs snapping in the dark. It was my grandfather's barn, my father's sweat, my own history, and it was dying in front of me. The neighbors gathered, whispering, phones out filming, and there, Lena, arms crossed, eyes glinting with satisfaction. I caught her voice in the wind. Maybe now he'll learn. I wanted to confront her right there, scream that I knew she did it. But years in this job taught me one thing: anger doesn't convict, evidence does. So I swallowed it. I watched the fire trucks roll in, listened to the hiss of water and the crackle of dying flames, and I said nothing. But inside, something ignited that no amount of water could put out. That night I sat on my porch with a flashlight and a notebook. The fire was out, but my investigation had just begun. The burn pattern was obvious origin near the side door flames, spreading fast and outward. No faulty wiring, no accident. Someone poured accelerant gasoline. I found residue in the soil, slick and oily under my fingers, and in a ditch by the fence line an empty red gas can, fingerprints smeared across the handle. I bagged it carefully, labeled it like every other arson case I'd worked. Only this time it was personal. The next morning, Lena strutted down the street, coffee in hand, playing the role of concerned neighbor. I heard her telling Mrs. Adler, "Such a tragedy. That old barn was falling apart anyway. Maybe this is for the best." For the best. Those words hit me harder than the fire. Still, I played along. When she stopped by my mailbox with crocodile tears saying, "If you'd joined the HOA, maybe we could have helped prevent this," I forced a weak smile and said, "Maybe you're right, Lena." She bought it, hook, line, and sinker. Over the next few weeks, I gathered everything: photos, soil samples, witness statements. Old man Jenkins told me he'd seen her SUV driving past my property around midnight the night of the fire. I filed a request for county traffic cam footage. Sure enough, her car creeping down my road, headlights off. I had enough to bury her, but timing mattered. See, Lena's kind of power doesn't vanish quietly. It has to collapse in front of everyone she ruled. So I waited. I went to her next HOA meeting, sat quietly in the back while she ranted about outsiders endangering community safety. When she called me out by name, Dante Carver's negligence nearly burned this neighborhood to the ground, I stood up. Slowly. The room went silent. "Funny thing, Lena," I said, "you're right about one thing. There was negligence, just not mine." She tried to laugh it off. "Oh, please, Dante, your paranoia is exhausting." I reached into my jacket, flipped open my badge, and let the gold catch the light. "Name's Dante Carver, State Fire Marshal, and I've been investigating the arson of my own property." Gasps rippled through the room. I laid the photos across the table, char patterns, chemical reports, eyewitness statements. Then the traffic cam still showing her SUV. Finally, I held up the clear evidence bag, the red gas can. "Your fingerprints, Lena, right here." For a second she froze. Then came the denial, loud and desperate. "You're lying. He's lying. He framed me." But her board members had already stepped back, whispering. The police officers waiting by the door moved forward. Lena Hartman, one of them, said, "You're under arrest for arson and reckless endangerment." She shrieked, clawing at the podium, yelling that she was the HOA, that this was her community. But as they dragged her out, all I saw were faces, neighbors relieved, free. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. I just stood there, hands still smelling faintly of smoke, watching the woman who'd burned down my life finally crumble under the weight of her own lies. And as the room emptied, I looked down at the photos, at the evidence spread before me. The barn was gone, sure, but the truth that was still standing. Some fires destroy, others reveal. Lena tried to burn me down to ash, but all she did was light the truth. Lesson learned. When someone sets fire to your world, don't burn with it. Let the flames show everyone who they really are.